Hello, thanks for joining me. Today I would like to talk about a new feature in Sage 100 2018. As a manufacturing consultant for Sage over the years, one of the most common questions that I've been asked is how can I delete a warehouse that we no longer maybe own, use, it was set up in air, and we need to get it deleted because we don't want it in the system anymore. Well, when I tell them a warehouse in Sage 100 cannot be deleted, uh, frustration and taking the wind out of their sails and disbelief is among the most common reactions. So, fortunately for us, Sage 2018 has given us some new options that will help us address the issue. We still can't delete, but we can manage our warehouses better. So let's first take a look at the warehouse screen that is new in IMN Sage 2018. And today we're going to work with, and just in the test company data, ABC, and we're going to look at warehouse code 002. So you can see here, this is a new section to the warehouse maintenance, and it gives us status options. If we drop down on the status of a warehouse, you see that now we can choose between, I mean, we've always had it active, but our two new choices are inactive and restricted. So let's talk about inactive first. When a warehouse is set to inactive, it is no longer able to be used in any type of data entry task, whether probably the most common would be physical inventory or inventory transactions. So it will not allow you to use this warehouse in those transactions anymore. In addition, before you can switch to a warehouse to inactive, you have to, it can't be included in any ship tos, open orders, whether it's purchase orders, sales orders, and it cannot have any inventory. It cannot have any inventory in its location. So it basically has to have everything cleared out, and any association and any setups would need to be cleared and removed. But there's an easy way to do it, and uh, Sage will alert us. So let's just try to inactivate this warehouse in the West. And you can see I have a screen pop up that says that I cannot change it to be inactive, and it's going to give me a list of reasons why. So all I have to do is click the details button, and you can see here I've got a whole list of reasons of why it's not going to let me inactivate this warehouse. I've got PO ship to addresses, I've got purchase orders that exist, customer ship to that exists, and it tells you everything. And it's primarily, there's a lot of mainly stock on hand. So this is why I cannot inactivate this warehouse. Let's jump over to XYZ and I'll show you an easier one that we can actually inactivate. So if we go to our inventory management in our warehouse code maintenance, so let's try to inactivate this, and we get the same message. So we click on details, and it tells us that an MRP warehouse group exists in B. So let's go look at that option. Let's fix that option, and then we'll come back and inactivate this warehouse. So if we go to MRP warehouse group maintenance, and you can see in warehouse group B, this warehouse exists. So we'll just delete this. And yes. Okay, and then let's go back and try to, now we will inactivate this warehouse. And you can see how simple that is. We went and we saw the error, or saw the restriction on why we couldn't inactivate it. We fixed it. Now it's inactive. And if we accept it, it is inactive. Now, if you do not want your warehouses to show up in your lookups, you can go to Company Maintenance under the Library Master. And now we have a new option on the Preferences tab. We go to the Preferences tab, and we have a Display Inactive Restricted Warehouses and Lookups. And so you can check that box if you want to see them, or uncheck it if you want to eliminate those from your lookups. Okay, so that is the inactive feature that has been added in 2018. Now let's take a look at the restricted feature in 2018's warehouse maintenance. Let's just jump back. Well, let's just jump back to ABC. Let's go to our inventory management, warehouse code maintenance. And again, we select our warehouse status. This time we're going to just say it's restricted. Now, as soon as we choose restricted, it's going to ask us, what do you want to restrict? Or which tasks for data entry do you not want to restrict? And so I see the most common and the most useful right now would be, okay, I want everything frozen in my warehouse, but I want to allow physical count entry, for example. And so if we accept that, you can see here the button has turned yellow. This is where we manage the tasks that are to be allowed at the restricted warehouse. So we're going to just take that back off. We're saying we don't want anything happening. We can put a comment here on maybe why it is being restricted. And we can also restrict it by date. But let's just say it's restricted right now. So let's go into, we'll accept that. And you can see here that this is a default warehouse for a internet order for one of the customers. So, and it's saying that it cannot freeze out internet orders while it's restricted. And we'll say, okay, that's fine. So let's just go to inventory management, main, and let's just try to set up an inventory adjustment, and we'll see the messages that we get and how it won't allow us to do anything. Okay, so we're going to select our West Warehouse, select, and then there you see that it is not going to allow me to set up an inventory transaction while it's on a restricted status. Last feature that I kind of want to tell you about is on the warehouse code maintenance is a restricted start date and end date. This, as I've said before, this would be particularly useful if you were doing a cycle count or physical inventory, but you can have set up a start and end date uh, that it's restricted, and then once it gets past the end date, it will not be restricted anymore. And so it's just as simple as filling out the dates here to kind of limit the restricted without having to come back and changing the restricted back to active. So as you can see, they've given us a couple options: inactive and restricted. Although deleting warehouse is still not an option, there are tools in place to better manage warehouses in Sage 2018. Hey, thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk to you later.